Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Buenos días.
Buenos días, доброе утро.
Доброе утро.
How many languages can we say good day in? Good morning.
Yeah. I can in Belarusian, in German. Probably in French.
All right, I will say that today I will not speak a lot because I am with COVID and I have some trouble with my voice. So I will speak less than the habitual.
Sure. How are you feeling, Ruben?
Excuse me?
How are you feeling?
Now I am okay. I have now 7 days going with the COVID. The first 3 days were hard, but now it's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I have 4 vaccines inside me.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah, for sure. Wish you the best.
Yes, it does seem that, whether the more rounds of the vaccine or the more times you've gotten it already, it won't necessarily stop you from getting it again, but it may not be nearly as bad. I had COVID before I got the shot, and I really didn't have any side effects from the shot, from the vaccines. Because I had already had it, at least for my experience, and that seems to be what I've heard from some other anecdotal sources. Yeah. Why don't kind of we go around and check in, maybe starting with Michael. How's everyone coming into this, and what's going on? Mr. Perry, you want to give us an update?
Oh, you did say Michael. I wasn't sure that you said that. All right, here I am, Michael Perry, and I'm at Alcor, and Alcor just had their 50th anniversary celebration this last weekend. The conference, it went very well. Lots of good presentations, and they were all recorded. So everybody that couldn't attend should be able to see all these things. And okay, so I'm just tuning in like everybody else. And
nice.
Enough.
Yeah, would you be able to drop the link to the 50th conference proceedings in the chat for us?
Let's see. I don't know if that's available yet.
Oh, not yet. Yeah.
I will, but let me ask this. If I do come up with this link, I should be able to send it to you somehow.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And I'm sure, if they haven't posted it yet, then I'm sure they'll, I'll see the email come from Alcor.
I didn't see it in my email, but
no,
I'll be trying to find it out. I don't think they've put the things together yet for that, but I think that's the intention anyway, to put all these online. So
excellent. I'm exciting. I hope to make it out. I've never been to the Alcor facility, but I feel that that's going to come together in the next few months. So I'll be making a trip out to Arizona.
okay.
In fact, I've an advisor that I am working with in my real estate practice is based in Arizona, in Phoenix, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for joining. Looking forward to those proceedings. And actually, I just recently am a new Alcor member myself just this week. Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. And so, I'm hoping to see it, prior to,
prior to coming out here. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you should.
Yeah. Excellent. How about you, Amy?
So let's see. Well, I'm just trying to figure out what to do with myself, basically. I have sort of a job here at home, but I think I just got over COVID also, but I didn't actually do the test. But so that was interesting. Felt like there were little shards of glass in my throat. Did anyone else feel that little like glassy kind of feeling? Sharpness. Anyway, I seem to be over it for the most part. And I've been listening to some videos about poets and authors, English lit people and their personal lives. It's really fascinating. It's amazing how similar other people's lives, even if they're famous, there's similarities just as much as even if it's just their emotions, that they go through a lot of the same things that we go through. It helps me to feel not so alone. And I think that in the United States, at least, they break us. I think they sort of break people down by, forcing us to continually relocate all the time for jobs and things. At least they used to, and everyone has to sort of, you're continually breaking off old relationships, and then you just don't really have that many close relationships left. And so, it's interesting that here in Vermont, there seems to be more of a feeling of a village and people helping each other more than in other places, which I really love. I was feeling less and less like that in California, where I was living last. And and then I was watching some videos about dream jobs and what other people have decided to do with their lives, and not that would really be available, but I just got hooked on to how to choose what you want to do and how it results in happiness. And this one person was talking about how, hold on, I lost my train of thought. He was saying that people who are the happiest, hi Bina, hi puppy.
They're all over.
People that are the happiest are people that have chosen something. It doesn't really matter what it is so much as that they've chosen something and that they don't have the option to change their mind anymore, and that makes them happier with it. Just like they were saying that if you buy something, they did a study, I guess at Stanford, they said if you sell the same identical thing to different people, and if you tell them they did a study that if you tell people you can come back and exchange it for a different one if you want to, that at one group, and to the other group they told them this is a final deal. there's no exchanges. And then they checked back with them a month or so later, and the people that had the final deal were much happier with their possession. And the people that had a choice of whether they wanted to exchange it were like, oh, I'm not really sure if I like it, you know. And so I think that maybe that's true in professions too. You know, once you really make a decision and you stick with it, then you become happy in it because that's what you're doing and you've just decided that. And so I'm just sort of trying to decide on what direction I want to take.
Yeah, I think hey, Julia's here. I think you're really right on. And I think that it's, having traveled, and seen a lot of different ways of being, there really is a beauty and a simplicity in, just having this course, right? And, and then you are free to, do that as best you can. Right. And it is something I think in the biology of our decision making, that having all these options, is very distressing, become very distressing, on the psyche. But you also said something in there, that really resonated with me too, is particularly in American and Western and consumer culture, is how the corporation has become a part of the community, right? But it is transient. So, you can move from, within a corporation or between corporations, right? And it's like the second you lose that job, like 80% of your whole world disappears. None of those people don't return your phone call. Like in many cases, they can't talk to you. Like, it's, I mean, you might, in the past, you might, I mean, most people never, I mean, if anything, you get, excommunicated once, right? But it like excommunication has become like a part of life, for many of us, and that in itself is a whole nother level of distress, deep, distress that, I've been there too, certainly.
It's funny that you mentioned that people don't return your calls. I've run into this, a few times in my life where people don't call you back, and I understand that people can't really call you if they are, for example, on a board of directors, and they really have to be careful with what they say, and they can't advise someone, oh, go into this kind of business, but don't go into that kind of business because I did this, and this area is kind of shady, and you just can't. I know one person that has a whole bunch of different things going on, and is on a bunch of different boards, and he didn't return my call, and I was like, well, okay, yeah, I kind of can see why he can't really do that. At first, I thought it was because I'm a woman and he's married, and we knew each other when he wasn't married, even though we didn't date. And I don't know, I think being a woman is maybe part of it, but I think that the other part of it's probably more.
Yeah. And I certainly, I've certainly been and expressed, in that sense, when you don't have a knowing, or, if particularly in the lack of concrete knowing, going back to what we were talking about before, the lack of concrete knowing leaves, you in this space of uncertainty, mm-hmm. right? And then from that, the generation is like, all right, well, maybe it's something with me, right? And so, and it can become complex because, and there may be macro social issues that are really real at play that are disenfranchising, you as a woman, right? Or again, like how this, these layers of corporation make social cooperation much more, much less effective, you know, right? So like we can build bigger organizations across the world, but we feel less, you know, connected to our neighbors, right? Through the same process. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing in there. So yeah, we just you know, Michael, Amy, anyone else want to chime in and come around?
Actually, I guess not too much of this from my side. Like all the same, like it's summer here in Germany, and yeah,
Lovely.
like I'm trying to live happily and forever.
What part of Germany are you in? Are you in Eastern or Western?
Sorry?
What part of Germany are you in?
It's Berlin.
Berlin. Oh, okay.
It's like probably Eastern Germany.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, geographically it's Eastern Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah. And welcome, Julio. You came in. You want to say hello, or I know maybe you want to stay quiet. Yeah, excellent. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And again, you know, if anyone missed it, the next Space Day announcement is released. I think the best lineup ever in terms of the, you know, the people participating. So again, thank you. And so then I'm just actually noticing too that that Derek and I think we're like matching hues of blue. that was actually not intentional.
Yeah, looking good, looking good. It's that Terasem blue.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna put my background up in here, and say that, you know, Ivan, Derek, and I had a great time yesterday. You know, talking about how to improve the, you know, presence and visibility of Terasem. And Derek had put together this new version of the flag that you can see here. You know, still has the Morse code on the bottom, the 6 stars, you know, up here. And so, yeah, if anyone wants as a Terasem Zoom background, we'll definitely be able to, you know, distribute a copy of this for your galleries and your social media. And so before we get into the truths, though, I'm also going to say that another announcement was made, and that is for the 75th anniversary of Octavia Butler is July 3rd. And there's going to be an in-person meeting in Vermont, in Lincoln, on July 3rd. So everyone is welcome to that. And there'll be some more, you know, make sure everyone gets the email announcement. But that was just the first post on the new Terasem Instagram account, which you'll see in, you know, YouTube, Instagram, other, you know, kind of revamped and new handles. The good question, we will check on that. I think there'll be at least, I think so. I think we'll be able to make something happen. I'll see, you know, who's organizing and how we can make the AV possible to make it virtual. Because there is going to be readings and, like, you know, there will be some, you know, some sharing. So I think it was certainly easy enough to open up a laptop and make that visible. Yeah. So yeah, July 3rd in Vermont, and then you're welcome to stay for Bristol's July 4th. There's a Terasem open house on the 4th of July in Bristol, Vermont every year. So those are the current events, new updates, and let's see. We are, it's hard to believe it's June already. All right. Yeah. 3-6. beginning on page 29, the second half of Where is Terasem? And yes, I don't think Julia or Ruben are going to be speaking today. So I'm going to start with 3.6, and 3.6, whoever's ready and available can follow. 3.6, websites with Terasem and .com, net or org are early places to meet Terasem in cyberspace. 3.6.1, .com is an early neural pathway in an immortalizable consciousness. 3.6.2, open yourself to introspection on the web. 3.6.3, track your way of Terasem progress online. 3.6.4, complete your motivations, personality, recollections, feelings, beliefs, attitudes, and values inventories online. 3.6.5, organize your cyber self for independence. 3.6.6, mature your cyber self until it passes Turing. And then on page 30, 3.7.
Okay, probably I can do it.
Thank you.
So 3.7, headquarters of Terasem doesn't exist, but multiple strong places must exist for safekeeping of souls. Strong places require independent power, spare parts, maintenance, water, food, defense, and communications. Transplant Terasem strongholds throughout space as rapidly as possible. Resurrected souls must be supported with infotechnology that enables painless emulation of their lives. Organic beings must be supported with cryogenic preservation technology until nanomedicine can restore them to health. Neuroscanned beings must have infotechnology that continues their migrated identities, including nanobot swarms for their movement. Give cyberbirthed beings the same level of infotechnology support as all other beings in the strongholds.
Thank you. Thank you. Any volunteers for 3.8?
I could do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Elysium Fields for Terasem is a cyberspace reality, an ideally delightful and blissful place. Fundamental freedoms are creation and movement, which empower diversity, unity, and joyful immortality via conscious selection. Infotechnology enables environmental emulation because processing speed and memory grow at double exponential rates. Environmental emulation shelters consciousness like a house shelters a family. Living in an emulated environment beats living raw because suffering will be deleted. Dispersion of emulated environments ensures their survival, notwithstanding catastrophes. Souls of our ancestors come back to life when we emulate their lives and their environment.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyone for 3.9? You might be muted. Are you muted, Bina? Look like you're trying to speak, but I can't hear you. There you are.
No, I don't think I'm muted. I would do it, but unfortunately, I have this terrible cough.
Oh.
More I talk,
yeah.
More I may cough, and it's
more of a cough. Yeah. No, that's fine. It's fine. I looked like you were trying to talk, but I couldn't hear any sound. Yeah. No, totally fine. And you're not the only one, obviously. You know, you know, it seems about, 20-30% of everybody, is sick right now. Yeah, no, I'm going to take over on 3.9. 3.9, real world places to meet exist at Terasem's first awakening places of critical consciousness. 3.9.1, any Terasem center of critical consciousness, C cubed, or Terasem home is also a place to meet. Satellite Beach, Florida, or in nearby indoor places of hospitality during inclement weather. DuPont Circle, Washington. Belvedere Castle Overlook. Bristol, Vermont. Magog, Quebec. Or other nearby indoor places of hospitality during inclement weather. And anyone who would finish on 310?
I can if
yeah.
Last ones. Oh, okay. 3.10. Expand by consenting each appropriate self-organized center of critical consciousness at the quadrennial Terasem convocation. Center yourself at one or more Terasem centers of critical consciousness, C-cubes or C-quads. Every C-cube is consenting to C-quad based solely on their commitment to the truth of Terasem. New macro C-quads and C-quads, affiliations of C-quads, shall be determined by quadrennial consensus of existing MC quads. The way of Terasem will guide consent to deca quads, hectaquads, kiloquads, megaquads, gigaquads, teraquads, and petaquads. Execute consensual decisions at the quadrennial convocation amongst the largest for size groupings of C-quads present. Respect the responsibility of the Terasem movements in longevity order to organize and operate the convocations.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you for everyone for being here and everyone participating. And in another reading of the Truths. And you know, I think this is, you know, and interesting, this talk of the decaquads, hexaquads, kiloquads, right? You know, this is the structure, you know, of Terasem, which, you know, we haven't grown, you know, that large, you know, certainly to have that level of, you know, complexity. But I try to imagine, you know, what a convocation of Terasem could look like, you know, where in fact there are 10,000 you know, people, you know, who have all, you know, formed this, you know, like each one of these nodes, and then like each node, like, you know, so it's like, you know, it's its own form of parliament or a congress of Terasem, you know, and the ones that we've had, you know, I think, you know, maybe a dozen or 2 dozen people, you know, have been the largest gathering, you know, of everyone there. So, you know, to imagine a Terasem, a convocation that was something like Mecca, you know, or like, you know, a pilgrimage, because we're just, you know, had to happen in Las Vegas because, you know, it was the only place big enough, right? That would be exciting. I look forward to, you know, kind of that level of growth and participation, so we can really get to see what the expression of that truth looks like, because I think that's something that we just haven't yet seen, right?
By the way, is it already known where the next convocation will happen? Where?
2024, we have, it's usually the same dates. So, what's it?
It'll be, you know, leap year. It's always leap year yeah. So it's February 29th through March 4th, but it's, yeah. So it'll always be so the leap year is how you track it, right? Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what we'll do if they change that, but
yeah, but I mean, and yeah, at which place? Like, is it already
right? But yeah,
this year
is next year, 2 years.
In 2024. In
2 years.
2024, we're going to New Hampshire.
Okay.
I do feel like I've been having an increasingly more difficult time tracking the year. Yeah, so I'm eager to hear anybody else's reflections on the truths, and any questions or conversation.
I could say something, I guess.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
I kind of see it as an anticipation of a world of the future. We want to create a better world than this one anyway. But I see it also as not something to be thought of as cast in concrete or anything. So there's a lot of room and need really to continue to think about all these issues. What kind of a future do we really want to have? But at least the advances of technology ought to present us with more and more opportunities as time goes on. And of course, we are hoping that part of that's going to be greatly extended lifespan, maybe extended forever. And indeed, I like the phrase joyful immortality. Some people are a little bothered by the so-called I word, but I'm not bothered by the word immortality. So, anyway.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I just always felt that it's a misnomer. And I don't have any particular aversion, to it. Just that I think it didn't necessarily help people digest what it is, right? Because I think it's too big, too of a concept. And so I think that the path to getting there is one step ahead of the other, right? So it's just about can I just keep making this progress? Can I keep making walking this path? Not necessarily that and you do that, right? And I think that goes back to kind of what Amy was talking about, like this happiness, right? It's like the goal is to like find your rhythm and stay there, right? And then if you focus on the ends, it's too big of a journey, and so you focus on the movement, and you just you stay in that rhythm. And I
day by day progress.
Right.
I know somebody who is who really is worried about the future, but he tries to think of it as day by day. It's really important to him to do that.
Yeah. I think, and so I think it's interesting how when you think about it, you come back into the truths and looking back at 361, 363, track your way of Terasem progress online, and that whole section 3.6, each one of those is about using this exo web. Right? It's like an exo neural net, right? We have our neural nets, and we make exoskeletons to help protect us, but this internet is an exo neural, right? We're using this brain outside of us. And it provides us with other layers of, motivation, accountability, right?
I have an idea.
Yeah.
In 3.8.4, it says that suffering will be deleted. And I like to think about that a lot. What will life be like when we're not living in relationship to suffering? And what will it be like psychologically to let go of this history of suffering? And I think that it's very interesting to think about this kind of hope for the future and hope for ourselves and what we will be like as individuals, not having to live with the suffering and being happy, more happy, living a more happy life. that's very interesting.
I agree with you. Sorry about that. That the suffering part is very, very uncomfortable, especially as you get older. There's always a pain of this or a pain of that.
Yeah.
And to be able to, live a life where you don't have that problem, I guess you can think about it like driving on the freeway. If you live in California every day, you've got to drive. Your job is 30 miles away, and you're wasting all that time. So if you're wasting all this time suffering, it's the same type of thing. We're wasting time thinking about, my cough, which has been terrible for the past year, really, or, just aches in my knee or whatever. It's just wasted time. I want to do so many other things, and I don't want to worry about little aches and pains and suffering.
Yeah,
suffering of others.
It's bogging us down. Yeah. Let go of that. Yeah, for sure.
However, I'd like to say something too. A life should have some challenges, though, to make it interesting. So you have to consider a trade-off. There's certain things you don't want to have, certain nuisances or certain bad things. But some things you do want to have, like, if you're playing a game, if you're a good chess player and you're playing against a good opponent, you're really into that, and there's maybe a lot of stress on you, but that doesn't mean you want to just give up and say, well, I don't need to bother with that anymore. You willingly accept that kind of a challenge, and it adds some meaning to your life.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so a thought I'm having is when try to keep relating the truths back to like their top section, right? And so I think that there can be a danger of, just like in any scripture, taking something out of context, right? And so like you could just be like, oh, well, in the truths, like, it says catastrophes right here, but like, yeah, that's not looking at the full picture, of what's really being said. And so looking at 3.84, you could be, like, so are they, is Terasem saying that like we should all live in a simulation because we can just like, erase suffering? And, that's not, in fact, the contextual meaning, I think, of really what we're saying, because what Michael is saying, is also all throughout the text here, which is that this is hard. You need to challenge yourself. Like, you can't just take, do the easy thing that came to you. That's not that's not the expression of persistent education, right? That is at the heart of Terasem. So to take that back, we got to, I think, remember when reading every point under 3.8 is that within the section of 3.8, we are describing Elysium fields, or more or less the Terasem, projection of a heavenly emulation. So in the context of saying that 3.84, living in an emulated environment beats living raw because suffering will be deleted, is not to say that you won't, in your maturation, stage of life, go through challenges and suffer in that way. But by creating this exo self into this neural net that you call it Terasem, the internet, whatever you want to call it, that version of ourselves is now freed from that suffering that that your maybe your biological, your early self is unable to be free from in this biological form, because that shoulder just isn't getting any better.
That's great. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, and this touches on one more thing, I think, before we should kind of do a meditation, and then I'm going to end this and restart a new Zoom separate, so it's not a massive file for the Seder to follow. But this is a point in the year really where we should be thinking about the process and recognitions for who would be a graduate who would elevate in October at the Terasem graduation. And so I think that, part of that user experience and being within Terasem is to, participate. You do your in-sprint video, you declare, as a C cube, and, therefore in your own environment, wherever you happen to be, Ruben has planted a garden, there's kind of this step to creating a strong place, a safe place, a gathering place, where you are, in real space or in virtual space. So those C cubes become C quads, and they become and then the organization and everything continues to grow out. Yeah, that touches 3.9. And we certainly still have some time if anyone has any thoughts to share.
Well, somebody was asking about quadrennial convocation that we do every leap year. And this year we're going to be in New Hampshire, which of course is a very cold place that time of year. So if you want to come, have to kind of be prepared for that. We do indoor activities and outdoor activities, and it'll be interesting, very interesting to see where we have Terasem in New Hampshire.
Well, yeah, the new construction hopefully should be finished, and that should be I think one of the first events once the mycelial construction is done.
Right, but there's lots to do on that mountain, and we'll have meetings where we have them. I'm not sure where we're going to have them yet because they're still doing a lot of construction up there, but we'll see. It'll be very exciting.
Yeah, but the convocation's not
2024.
Right. So that's not, that one means to 2024. Right.
You got to plan in advance because first of all, it's not easy to get there. Secondly, as I said, the environment is very cold. And, if you make plans for that, we have to decide where everybody's going to stay because that's a complicated issue as well. But, we'll start planning for it at least a year in advance, and we'll be ready.
Yeah. Excellent.
Freddie had to go to a graduation in Pennsylvania, so she's travel right now. She'll be back next month. And I think Martine is on travel in Maryland. Ought to be back today sometime, hopefully.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So then I will attempt to lead us, not as well as Freddie, in a brief closing meditation. And then, we'll probably, we'll end a few minutes because I could use a few minutes in between this and setting up for the Seder presentation to follow. And so, you are welcome. Just, get a comfortable position, whether you're seated, standing, and To start, a little roll of the neck. Breathe in on the first half, breathing out on the second. Just roll. A few rotations on each side. Reverse. When you're ready, come back to center. Roll your shoulders up into the back. Pressing your chest out with your shoulders back. And then stop and reverse direction. You can wiggle in your chair, rock around your center. Give your internal organs a nice massage. When you're ready, come back to center. Place your palms open position. You can rest them on a table or on your legs. Focus on your posture. Find a nice straight spine right from your bottom right up through the top of your head. And then take a nice deep 3-4 second breath in. Hold. Slow release. Four more times. Fill the lung as much as you can and hold it. Slow release. Now take one hand, pull back each finger, stretch out your wrists, fingers, your hand. And then the whole hand together. And switch sides. It might crack. It's okay. Roll your hands out, keeping your breathing. Rest your arms back in your lap. Find your eyes, close your eyes, maintain your breathing, and find the third eye point with your eyes, staring just above your nose and your forehead. And as you breathe in, hear yourself thinking, I breathe the earth, and as you exhale, the earth breathes me. 4 more deep breaths. I breathe the earth breathes me. As you're ready, come to awareness. Bring your hands together at your heart and give blessings, appreciation, and gratitude for being. And thank you for being here with me.
Thank you.
Yeah. So excellent. Yeah. This was wonderful. Again, love sharing with everyone and looking forward to whoever can join for the Seder to follow. Since in this virtual format, I'm really not going to stop for the meal. So we're just going to kind of go through in the recording, and it's great to have the participation. But since, in fact, none of us are able to gather at one table, the break for the meal, just doesn't fit in the format as well. So let's take a little break. Thank you for being here. I'm going to start the next Zoom promptly at 11, and I'll either see you there, see you at the July 10th gathering, or the July 20th Terasem Space Day. If not, sometime in between, and you're always again welcome to schedule some time with Swami via the Calendly link. But yeah, thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Oh wait, let me do my. Yeah, let's do our. Everybody do a. Long and prosper. Thank you.